Okay, so we've done our first plot, which is just ideology versus whether the judge voted to distinguish or follow the landmark. The next one that we're going to do is we're going to do the respect for precedent, that kind of six-part scale. So let's go up here. We're operating out of this output file. Let's go into graphs, legacy designs, box plot. Keep it simple again, and instead of follow, we're going to do respect. Alright, so we're going to do simply respect for precedent, and we're going to see how that one works. Okay, this one I'm not seeing a whole lot of relationships here, and so this may not have a whole lot of ideological component to it, but that's okay. Let's pull this up and make this plot look a little bit better. So double click the plot, go ahead. What you might want to do here is we might want to change the chart size. So double click the plot here, click off maintain aspect ratio, and let's do 300 by 600 because that gives us a little bit more portrait, and so that looks a little bit better. Just like we did before, let's kind of click on this internal frame, and we should be able to shrink this just a little bit in order to give it some yeah, that'll work. Just to give it a little bit of a margin, that's useful. Alright, that helps. Alright, that's not bad. Let's go over here, let's do the scale, and we're just going to do -1, 1, 0.25 and 0 is fine. Just apply that, and it'll give us a different scale. Sometimes you'll get these. Go up here, and in the elements, hide data labels. That's fine. It just tells you the outliers there. Let's change the label here. Let's just call this treatment of landmark precedent. And this one is going to be alright, so everything works there. The only thing that isn't good is this thing needs a little bit less. We need a little bit less, just to open this up a bit. One thing we can do here is we might be able to change the margin a little bit, fit this in. So double click on it, go up here to the categories, and change this lower margin and upper margin. And that just spreads it out a little bit, and then you get all of you don't get the problems with those different ones. Okay, so net, that looks like a good plot to me. We don't see a real strong, it sort of starts high here and goes to the left, but we got a big kind of difference here, so I don't know that ideology is going to be real powerful for this particular flag burning case. But let's close it and go from there. Alright, so that's another good plot. Again, remember to save your output file, save your data file too at different points, and remember if you're before you do really big steps, save versions of your data in your files. Okay, good. So we've done our initial distinguish and follow plot. We've done the treatment, that kind of ordinal scale versus the ideology. Let's do one more, and we're going to look for specific whistleblower effects here. And so in this one, we're going to go through, and we're going to not do the box plots like we did for these. We're going to do an error bar chart, which is a little bit cleaner when it comes to these different categories, because we're going to spread out the categories. And so let's do graphs, legacy design, and right underneath box plot is error bar. We're going to do a simple error bar relationship. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring over our traditional point is the variable of interest. Our category access is going to be whether they followed or distinguished the landmark precedent. And we're going to panel this one, but we're going to panel it by whistle panel. Okay? And what that does is it does the following. It gives us different panels. So this is unified panels up to unified RNC, and you see how this that variable kind of has that strongly positive significant relationship. That seems to work, right? So unified DNC panels are much more likely to follow it. Unified RNC, there's differences there. Some of them are doing it, but some of them aren't, and so we'll see this kind of general trend as we go across. Let's go through and clean up the plot a little bit. Let's start, double click it, do chart size, get rid of the aspect ratio, make it 300 and 600. Make that one 600. Okay, that's good. That spreads that out. You can just get rid of that. You should be able to just kind of go through and delete it because it tells you what it is below. That's good. Only thing we might do here is we might bring that in just a touch. And here, because we already have the labels in there, we don't really need this one. So you have to click it once and then click it double. Let's see if that helps. Alright, so 95% is confidence interval, and let's just do traditional point. Okay, so I had to go through, sometimes there's little bugs in the editors for SPSS and the graphs, and so I had to figure this one out a little bit. In this, on this left-hand y-axis, you can click that one and change it like I did to, confidence interval, traditional point. I cannot click this one. It's under some other layer, and so what you have to do in order to get rid of this kind of variable description, you have to click on this particular axis, right? So click on the x-axis, and then it'll get in here and it'll bring up this level. And so what it'll have is labels and ticks. Just get rid of the display axis title and apply, and then that'll work out perfect, right? So there's just different things like that. Okay, so this is not a bad looking plot. We might move it up just a touch. Alright, actually don't do that. Bring it down just a touch. That's probably fine. And it's good enough. So let's go forward. So we've got our error bar chart, we got this one, and we got the initial follow. So everything's good here. Next thing we're going to do is run a few models and see what our results look like.